Many UK-based human rights groups are expressing unhappiness over UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's meeting with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping on Thursday. Joining us now from the UK is Rahima Mahmut, the executive director of Stop Uyghur Genocide. Rahima, thank you so much for joining us today. So first off, can I just get your first reactions to Starmer's meeting with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping and what's come out of it?
Thank you very much for having me. So the reaction from me, from many other Uyghur community members, feeling total betrayal and dismay and upset. This week, everywhere the people are commemorating the Holocaust, and where our Prime Minister traveled to China, shaking hands with the men who committing genocide against my people.
So the community there, how is the community feeling? You said you're feeling disappointment. What about the feelings of groups?
As I said, we all feel the same, feel being betrayed. Because when a Labour party in opposition, they recognized what is happening to my people as genocide, crimes against humanity. And after they came to power, became government, that took complete U-turn. Now, since 2018 is the first time a UK Prime Minister visited China. And when human rights situation is becoming worse, and not only in the region where Uyghurs live, in Tibet, in Hong Kong, and in many places, including the Chinese dissidents as well. And under this kind of circumstances, seeing a UK Prime Minister who is a human rights lawyer shaking hand with those responsible for killings, murder, imprisoning and detaining millions of Uyghur and other Muslim people, it really shameful.
Okay, what's at stake here, and how important is it for the Prime Minister to actually really address these issues? And if he did, what would be the impact of that?
I do believe China should have been held accountable for the crimes they have been committing. It's not like giving them a reward propaganda platform to go there and visit, talking about business. As activist, as someone who is Uyghur, also suffered so much from what has been happening to my people, and I strongly condemn this visit. And of course, after going there, we don't know how much he really managed to achieve. We know when you're talking to Chinese so-called diplomats or the president, it's like you are talking to a wall. They are not going to really take your view. For them, it's what they think matter, what they believe is matter.
Okay, I want to touch on the mega embassy that was just approved ahead of the Prime Minister's visit to China. I know your organization has expressed a lot of concern over this embassy, with fears of expanded transnational repression. Can you just expand a little bit on this issue for us?
First of all, rewarding China, the CCP, this mega embassy, when there are so much warnings against national security and transnational repression and many other things, was shocking. And secondly, as being Uyghur, we suffer most extreme form of transnational repression. So having this mega embassy, that means increased so-called diplomats. Those are spies and also operate illegally in many ways. We did have reports in past years about secret police stations in the UK soil and many other countries. So it's not like fiction. This is a real fear that we know it's real, including Hong Kongers and Tibetans and many people. Also, this high-tech surveillance, that my country, the East Turkestan or Uyghur region, used as a laboratory to develop the most sophisticated facial recognition, voice recognition cameras, and that has been exported to many other authoritarian regimes. Having this mega embassy, I mean that land, that place will belong to China. They could install all these sophisticated cameras, and also will restrict our ability to protest and many other things. So it's really, really unbelievable for the UK government approve this mega embassy.
Okay, Rahima, I know you and your community are very familiar with the evils committed by the Chinese regime. I want to ask you, what would you say to those who aren't very aware of the atrocities and the true nature of the Chinese Communist Party and don't share your concerns? What would you say to this group of people?
I would like to say, unlike Russia's overt military aggression, China advances through subtle, long-term and concrete strategies, uses smiling diplomacy to, masks more dangerous and harder to confront. And we know this, although you don't see the bombs are shelling, in the region where I come from, you don't see people are dying, but they are all dying silently, quietly, and being tortured, being forced to work in factories all around China as slaves, producing the goods that tainting the entire supply chains in the world. The reason the goods are so cheap because they're using forced labor, using slave labor, and we are all supporting by buying these goods. And therefore, we must condemn, we must see China, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, as criminal, as murderous, as absolute horrible regime that we should stand up against.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rahima. I just have one final question for you. What is next for you and your community as you fight to end this persecution of Uyghurs in China?
We will continue collaborate with people like Hong Kongers, like Tibetans. We will never give up. And we still have hope that in the end, the truth will prevail and the evil will, in the end, will fail.
Yeah, I mean, if we've learned anything from history, is that the truth always prevails. Thank you so much for your comments today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.